What's up, world? My name's Steven Small, but I go by GemMint, and what you're about to watch is a conversation I had with Rob Markman. Now, Rob's been a music journalist for the past 20 years. He's worked for the Source magazine, Double XL, MTV. He's interviewed some of the biggest names in hip hop, anyone from Drake to Jay-Z, and he's also a fan of comic books. And he's also a content creator, which is kind of why you can see why I wanted to talk to him. He's got his main channel where he covers hip hop, whether it's an album review or something that's going on in the mainstream. And he's also got his comic book channel, which he talks about comics. Also, I want to give a big shout out to DJ Links, who did the heavy lifting on the editing on this video. Make sure to check out his channel too. He also talks comic books, but has a hip hop influence. And lastly, I got to apologize for my footage. It's super choppy and laggy. It was looking clean on screen, but I guess the internet connection wasn't good, but the audio's still there. I just look a little jacked up. Rob looks clean. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the convo. What's going on, Rob? Thanks for coming on to the channel. It's been a long time coming.
Nah, man, I'm glad to be here, man. I've been a fan, been watching you for a minute. And you know, we talked and touched base a bit, and we finally here, man. I'm happy, man. This is great.
Yeah, we've talked kind of like casually back and forth, but this is like the real first time we're meeting face to face, and the first time we're going to really get into it. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you in the first place is because I feel like we just have so much in common, man. Whether it's our love for comics, our love for music, specifically hip hop. But if you're anything like me, you probably love all genres of music, and we're both content creators. So it's like, man, we definitely should hit it off, and I wanted to really pick your brain and see, you know, what got you into all this.
Facts, yeah, man. Let's get into it, man. I might have some questions for you too. We have the volley back and forth.
Yeah. I said we're going to be interviewing each other. I want to start with comics. It's a comic-based channel. When did you get into comic books?
Oh man, when I was young, my older brother was in the comic books. My older brother used to do graffiti. So comic books were always like around in the crib, and then my mom was the babysitter for the whole neighborhood. So one of the young kids that she used to babysit, you know, I'm maybe 6 or 7 at this time, but one of the kids she used to babysit, her mom worked in the finance department at DC. So like every other Friday, she would just come with a manila envelope of comics, and you know, I'm like 6 or 7 at this time, and I loved them, but I didn't take care of them. I remember her bringing me, and maybe not appropriate for a 6 or 7-year-old, but like I had like The Killing Joke, like, you know what I'm saying?
Or super appropriate, giving you the real deal, gritty stuff.
Nah, absolutely. But a lot of Booster Gold stuff, a lot of Firestorm, a lot of Question. It was a lot.
Wow.
Batgirl. I remember she bought me the Batgirl special, the Mike Mignola cover.
Okay.
Like I had that as a kid. So yeah, I was like into it, and they were always around, but I didn't take care of them. And then probably when I get to like 8 or 9 years old, I mean, this is when McFarlane like redefines Spider-Man, and Jim Lee is redefining X-Men, and Rob Liefeld is doing it with New Mutants and X-Force. And that's when I dived in and started really going to like comic book stores and collecting and bags and boards and treating it real seriously.
Yeah, I think I might have heard you tell that story about the in at DC Comics. That's kind of funny, especially with what we talked about behind the stage.
Yeah. I don't know if she still works there. I got to reach out. I got to see what's up.
So DC, because I was always more of a Marvel fan. Well, let me take it back. My first kind of like love was Superman. I had the Superman lunchbox with the thermos, and like the death of Superman was like one of the first comic books that I really remember reading as a kid. But I was always more of a Marvel guy. So with that being said, like, who are some of your favorite characters?
I mean, I was more of a Marvel. Like I had access to DC, but when I actually was going to the store and picking stuff up, I was more of a Marvel kid myself. X-Men is my favorite. X-Men and Spider-Man were the 1-2 punch for me, and really like that's where I developed my love. You know what I'm saying? For the books was X-Men and Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away in case you ask me something later, but yeah, definitely. And you know what's funny? And another one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, and you kind of alluded to it. Your older brother was into comics. Comics were everywhere in the late 80s, early 90s. There's this stigma that like comic books were like for nerds, or that people were embarrassed to be into comics. But me, I grew up, the coolest people in the world were into comics. Whether it was people within hip hop, you had Wu-Tang was big into comics. Outkast had a comic book cover for what was it, ATLians?
Yeah.
Did you look at that growing up? Did you feel like it was something that was like a geek kind of thing, or did you just think it was cool?
I always thought it was cool, and I was cool with myself. Again, my older brother was into it, and I love him. He's turned his life around now, but my older brother was in the street too. Like it was really his love for graffiti. So he's going out there tagging and doing whatever. He ended up getting into some trouble, did a prison bid. But my brother was the coolest guy on earth and could beat everybody up on the block.
Yeah.
And he was in the comics, so it was like, well, they weren't gonna tell him nothing. They damn sure not gonna tell me nothing. Yeah, it was always cool, man. Because especially too, I'm from that era when, like, the X-Men, the '90s X-Men cartoons, and
it was everywhere,
becoming more mainstream, and video games, and
exactly.
All of my friends went into the cartoons, and then I would go to school and be like, no, but this is the comic where it came from. So it kind of made me cool in a way. Like, I was never embarrassed or ashamed by it at all.
No, I felt the same way. I felt like everywhere you looked, it was cartoons, action figures, comic books, video games. Everything was, for me, more Marvel, more X-Men, Spider-Man, like you said. So I when I would hear that later on in life, I was like, what? I always thought comics were cool. Like, it was like, that was what was cool in the 90s growing up as a kid. Especially with the trading card boom was around that time as well. That's really what got me into it, was those Marvel cards back in the day.
Yeah, I used to go to school and hustle those packs. So what happened was too, my first job ever when I was 13 years old was in a comic book store named Brain Damage in Brooklyn. Nice. And this guy had the illest, sickest collection you ever seen. Like, had Spider-Man 1, had Amazing Fantasy 15, had, like, on the wall, like, before CGC was a thing.
Yeah, back then.
And so what I would do is I would buy packs of cards from him, and I would get them for a discount because I worked there, and I would take them to school and sell the cards at school. So yeah, those Marvel cards were a big deal.
We had the hustle with Walmart would have sealed boxes of Marvel masterpieces. And this was before Walmart was like Walmart what it is today. It was kind of more low key. But we would take those packs and we would buy them for whatever they were, and we would sell them to the comic shop for like $10 more. But as kids, with no money, our parents, didn't really give us money like that. That's how we would hustle and flip and buy other, collectibles or whatever. But after a couple of times, the comic shop kind of caught on. I was like, wait a minute, where are these kids getting all these boxes from?
Right, an extra $10, man. But that was everything as a kid. I remember. So my best friend, still my best friend to this day, but growing up is a guy by the name of Damian Scott, and he's actually a comic book artist. He did a huge run on Batgirl. I mean, he's drawn for Marvel, DC, and we grew up together. And I remember trying to convince our parents. He tried to convince his mom. My dad wasn't having it. Again, the shop where we work, he had a Spider-Man 1, and it was like $3,000. And he was trying to convince his mom to buy it. It's going to be an investment. And I spent $3,000 on no comic.
Yeah, not then.
But shit, look at it now. We were talking about it the other day. He was like, man, I can't believe I couldn't convince my mom to do it, man. We'd have been up.
Yeah, depending on that grade, man, that could have been, who knows, right? If it was high grade, I think you just reported on it because that's something that you've been doing. So you have two channels. You have the music channel and then the comic book channel. And I saw that you reported on, what was it, the Superman 1 that sold for some millions of dollars?
Yeah, 9.12 million.
9.2, and then that's like the traditional story of comic books in the attic. Like, how cliche is that? But that's what it was.
I want to know more though, right? Because we know what we're being told. Like, it had to have been in the bag. Like there was no way it was just sitting in an attic.
What was it? It graded like a 9.0.
A 9.0. Like I'm just like,
but back then, when did bags and boards come out? That wasn't always around, right? Like, it wasn't in the Silver Age for sure.
Yeah, at least maybe the 80s, maybe it was late 70s, but it wasn't like until comic stores actually started becoming a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know bags and boards until probably like 88. You know what I'm saying? And being at 8 and 9 years old.
I guess the story was like the kids of the family always knew the comics were there, but I'm like, so why now? Why wouldn't you have checked it out when the Man of Steel came out, or I guess maybe they didn't know exactly what issues were there, but like, it just seems weird that they waited through all of this hype of comic books. It's been mainstream for so long now that they finally checked that attic to see what they had,
Yeah, I guess the way the story went is that they never really believed her, or they took her seriously. Like, she was just like, hey, I have a collection of comics, but I don't know where they're at. And everybody was like, all right, cool, Mom. And then she passed away. So they were just like cleaning out the attic. And they said they were going to throw. They were going up there to expect to throw junk away that they totally forgot about the story their mother told them with the comic books, and then supposedly the mother and the brother used to like buy comic books. So I also want to know what else they had up there because it doesn't sound like Superman was the only one. It was just the only one.
Bro, you don't just have a Superman 1 and that's it. They probably had a run of it. And then what did they have for Action Comics, Detective Comics, Batman 1 or something like that, right?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You know, I showed that to my kids. I said, look, man, this could be all yours. I mean, there's not a Superman 1 up here, but
no, but I've noticed in your background, you've got the first full appearance of Wolverine, Deadpool, first new X-Men team. What are some of the key issues that you got in the background? We can't see them all.
Yeah, I got an amazing 129 first Punisher, a Secret Wars 8 first black costume. I got a signed Jim Lee X-Men 1, an amazing 300, Fantastic Four 52 first Black Panther is up here.
I remember seeing that.
Got a couple joints. First Miles Morales. The funny thing is though, the first Deadpool, the New Mutants 98, that's a newsstand copy. I bought that from the newsstand. Like I bought that like that. These I've collected. You know, I wasn't around for Fantastic 452 or Giant Size X-Men 1. Yeah. But that New Mutants 98, I'm really proud of because it's a newsstand copy. I bought it from the corner store, Flatbush, Brooklyn, and I recently got it graded. And you know, I got it pressed, and the guy that I took it to the press is a guy who owns a store in Brooklyn, who I grew up going to a store, and he couldn't believe what good condition it was and that it was a newsstand. It came back in 98, so I'm really proud of that one.
So actually I have a similar story with two of those books. So Secret Wars 8 was the first book that I ever submitted to CGC, and I just sent one book. I didn't know any better because really you got to send like 10 books to make it make sense. It's like $50 for one book, but if you send 10 books, the way that the cost is distributed, it gets lower. So that was the first book I submitted. But New Mutants 98 was a key issue that I bought raw off of eBay when I first got back into comics. This has to be, I don't know, 2010 or something like that. And I was buying the books that I would see on the back of the Marvel Masterpieces that I could never afford as a kid. New Mutants 87, New Mutants 98. And I would, you know, look at it to see, you know, what the condition was. And I got it in. I submitted it with no press to CGC, and it hit a 9.8. And that's when I learned, like, oh, wow, these are way more valuable when they're graded. And that kind of put me down a rabbit hole to get me where I'm at today, kind of buying and selling and then getting into other hobbies like collectibles. But that New Mutants 98, that was like the first start because I bought it for like 150 and I sold it for like 400, which now it's worth, I guess, more like 1,200. And at a time, it was even higher. But that was like a big ROI for me. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. So then I started just getting into key issues and submitting to CGC and everything.
Yeah. Nah, you know, it's fun and it's also, man, it's an expensive hobby. And then, you know, if you're on the business tip of it and you're kind of buying books and flipping books to get more books, you know, you got to be on your P's and Q's, man.
Well, you don't always get the grade you want or need to make it make sense. So yeah, there's a lot of issues, man. You could submit something from the Silver Age and it's restored and you didn't know.
Yeah.
But so I kind of got an idea, but who are some of your favorite artists within comics?
Yeah, man. I'm just from that era, man. Todd McFarlane's my favorite. It just defined me. Jim Lee, Liefeld is up there for me.
I'm a Liefeld supporter since day one. See, we're just cut from the same cloth. That's what was out when we were into it as kids, man.
And you know, the thing that I love about Life, because Liefeld gets a lot of criticism, be it for his proportions, be it for the feet, be it for the, you know. But I'm also
comics, like, man, they're supposed to be. Look at Absolute Batman. The proportions are crazy. And you don't hear anybody, well, maybe a little bit of criticism, but not. Liefeld gets a lot of unwarranted hate, I feel like.
But I also like Liefeld as a personality.
He's got a lot of personality.
He kind of, and this probably sounds blasphemous, but it's kind of like a modern age Stan Lee in the sense that the way he advocates for comics.
Yeah.
And across the board, if you listen to his podcast or you watch his whatnot, I don't know if comics right now has a better like advocate who is just vocal every time, not just about his own stuff, but every time he's in front of a camera or a mic, he's advocating for artists and creators and comic books as a whole, man.
And just his love of comic books. You can see, I watch a lot of his short form content, and it's really good stuff, man. He's got a lot of energy, a lot of personality, and he's got a lot of strong opinions. Not always the more popular opinion either. So that's what makes it really good.
Yeah, nah, it's cool. So I'm a Liefeld fan, man. I rock with Liefeld. What about you? Who are some of your favorite? I know you're interviewing me, but you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna throw some back at you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, those are like big for me as well. But I really fell in love with comics through the painters, man. Joe Jusko is like my favorite comic book painter and artist of all time. And I found him before I found Alex Ross. And when I found Alex Ross, I mean, it hit me the same, but I was already sold, so I didn't need to be sold on comics. But the way that painters make comic book characters feel bigger than life, not only do they look realistic, but they feel like icons. Like this could be a real like god almost. Like the way that painters just portray them. So even like Adi Granov or Gabriel Del Otto, the painters always do it for me. But yeah, McFarlane, I mean, that's the GOAT. I'm a big fan of Mark Bagley. I feel like kind of McFarlane ran so Bagley could sprint, and I love Bagley's Spider-Man. I love Bagley's Venom. And then that whole Venom crew, man, the Eric Larsons. Who else is the big Venom guy? I'm drawing a blank. And when people ask me these questions, I get stumped too, because it's like there's so much out there. How do you even narrow it down? But yeah, I would say like those painters, Jusko specifically is like my dude.
Yeah. You mentioned Bagley. Bagley is such an important Spider-Man. As much as we celebrate Todd, because it went Todd, then Eric took over for Todd, and then Mark Bagley took over for Eric. But Bagley's run, like I'm a big fan of consistency too. Like that Bagley run. I mean, I think he did Spider-Man longer than anybody.
I had to check. He was definitely my favorite Spider-Man artist. Even though McFarlane is there, I always just felt like Bagley had the cleanest, the more realistic proportions, and the run was crazy with Carnage and all that for sure.
Yeah, and then I was always so, and again, because it's the era that you grew up in. I know that wasn't him at his height, but I always like Sal Buscema Spider-Man also on Spectacular Spider-Man. Like, and I know people older than me talk about like Sal before was even iller, but Sal Buscema on Spectacular Spider-Man, it was so consistent.
Because that was the foil cover era, or like that gimmick cover. I love the Buscemas, both of them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to forget, I feel like one of the most underrated artists of the 90s is Rick Leonardi. His stuff is amazing. I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man 2099 and Rick Leonardi's Miguel O'Hara. That's just like some of my favorite artwork of all time, man.
You know who I used to love too, and more so his 90s style. He's back doing The World to Come for Marvel, but Joe Quesada's early kind of like more cartoon style, like I was a big fan of. Like, I mean, I was out there getting, it was Marvel, DC, of course. Image when they launched was a huge deal, but Valiant Comics, you know, having like a real appreciation for like Barry Windsor Smith and Archer and Armstrong.
First of all, his Weapon X run is iconic.
Oh yeah. And it made me go back and really like the first Barry Windsor Smith, just because of my age that I was collecting, was like Archer and Armstrong, and then you get like a real like appreciation for what came before, and it's like, okay, I got to go back and get this Weapon X stuff. Or like when somebody put me on, again, speaking of artists that came before us, like a Bernie Wrightson with all of like his horror, you know, Swamp Thing and all that. Oh my God, it's like amazing art.
And I am a big fan of Silver Age stuff. I love Jack Kirby. I love Steve Ditko. When I see, like, I used to have these big fat heads on my wall that would be like Jack Kirby fat heads. And to me, that's like the legacy version of the characters. And I mean, the 90s stuff was more extreme. Like the whole 90s era in every capacity was like extreme 90s. So, you know, it was more exciting, but I love classic Kirby stuff, Fantastic Four stuff. Silver Age Marvel really is my shit.
Yeah. Man, it's dope, man. I love it all. And, you know, like you were saying, like I was super into it as a kid. Then I kind of fell out for a couple of years, and you know, I was girl crazy. So it was like, the money I had, it was like, man, going on dates, taking girls to the movies, like. And then, you know, when you get a little older and I have some disposable income, and I'm like, man, I get back into this.
100% the same. Yeah, because like as a kid, first of all, I didn't have money to keep up with single issue comics. So when I found trade paperbacks, that's how I read Death of Superman and Maximum Carnage. And it was always confusing to me as a young kid
to follow Maximum Carnage in single issues, right? You're going from Amazing to Web of to just Spider-Man to Spectacular. I was like, and then X-Men was doing the same thing. Now, growing up, you realize, oh, this was just how they were selling multiple comics for the same team or whatever. But yeah, you know, getting into music, getting into smoking weed, getting into girls, and then when we get older and settle down, then we get back to our childhood passions.
Yeah, nah, it brings me peace, man. Like, you know, I work hard, and when I sit in my office and I could just kind of look up and kind of see like the comics hanging on the wall or something, it takes me back to a place, and you know, the problems that maybe I have at work aren't so bad. It's like, all right, nah, it's all good, man. Like, you know,
and I think it's also like surrounding yourself with the things that you love and the things that inspire you, especially when you're creating content on it, which now you're doing with comics as well. You could kind of look in the room. Like when I first started this channel, it was like, all right, let me look on my shelf. Let's make a video about this. I've got every Spider-Man omnibus. Let's make a video and showcase them all. Like that's what really helped me to do content. We talked a lot about artists, and they always seem to get the most love, right? Because it's a visual medium. But what about the writers? Do you have some favorite writers you could share with us?
I mean, again, it just goes back to the era that I'm from. But Chris Claremont is number one for me. Really, because and it wasn't child stuff. You know, like, adults would say, "Oh, you're wasting your time reading those comics." I remember the first X-Men comic I picked up, like off of the rack, was Uncanny X-Men 275. And they were in space. It was like a Shi'ar situation. And I had to read that book 3 times because there were like words that I understand. I remember being a kid and going to the dictionary, like, yo, what does this mean? So I always loved how Claremont like challenged, you know what I'm saying? The reader, especially young readers. So he's number one for me.
The people that say that, I mean, read Neil Gaiman, read Grant Morrison or somebody. They like there's definitely high level comic book reading. It's not maybe what, as we were kids, the adults at that time thought they were like Richie Rich comics or like Looney Tunes or whatever, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, Neil Gaiman, another classic one. Probably modern day. I'll pick up anything that Kirkman is doing. Just about.
It's like second nature to him, man. This guy writing comics, right?
Yeah. Nah, he's amazing. Grant Morrison, like you said, for the most part, and Scott Snyder is killing it right now. I mean, he's been killing it. Really, kind of reinvigorated something. You know, I love the fact when we talk about Absolute Batman and what he's doing, and you were talking about the difficulty of keeping up with single issues, and I find it more and more difficult now. One, because of how confusing things are with the variants and all the different
that's
numbering.
The new confusion, right? They don't do so much of telling the same story over multiple titles. They do a bunch of variants for every issue, which can be confusing, and second and third printings, which I heard you talk about on your show recently.
Yeah, but the thing I love about Absolute Batman, and my favorite comics is the one that when you finish reading that it leaves you wanting more. Like it's like, yo, I can't wait for the next issue. And to me, that's what a comic book, that growing up, that's what it was when I read and, yo, what's gonna happen next? And I think Scott Snyder's doing an amazing job with that.
To piggyback off that though, because not only has he been killing it for a long time, but Absolute Batman is probably the best comic book that's ongoing right now. And you're right. That's something that I was trying to get my daughter into it. I'm like, you don't really need to know anything prior to this. You could read issue 1, kind of like how manga, right? You could read issue 1 and just follow from there. And he's creating the most exciting comic book right now. And you need that in order to kind of sustain this thing.
Yeah, I think that's where the future is. Well, it's the future, but it's the past. It's what it's built on. It's like, yo, just tell good stories. Like, you know, I don't know how much more variants we can do, and I get it or how much more relaunches, and I get it for a number one. But you know, it's like Amazing Spider-Man 17, and it's like, why do we relaunch Amazing Spider-Man this year anyway? And then why on issue
the same
17,
creative team, it seems like.
and it's like 6 variants. So it was just like, yo, who asked for this? Like, you know.
So here's my thing with that: as long as everyone's making money, if the publisher's making money, the artists are making money, the writers are making money, the retailers are making money. Because you don't have to buy anything, right? You can buy a cover A. I heard you mention you're a cover A guy, me as well. I'd like the whole run with cover A's. But every now and then they'll catch me on like an action figure variant or if a Just Go re-release or something. So you know, if they're profitable doing it, then by all means, and there's a, you know, there's a collector base out there for it. It just is kind of a bad look for casuals. Like, oh, really? Does Deadpool Batman need 21 covers? Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't need it,
Look,
but
and I think it happens, and I tell people all this all the time when they be like, "Well, how do you get into collecting comics, or where do I start?" And I'm just like, "Yo, buy the things that you love, buy the things that interest you," because I think a big part of that is the speculator market.
yeah,
Oh, it's a 1 in 100, it's a 1 in 50,
yeah,
and people buy it. You know, I had a friend of mine who he would only buy, you know, the ratios and oh, this one's $125. I was like, yeah, but if it's $125 on the week one of release,
yeah.
where's the ceiling for it?
Very
How much
few of
farther
those
is gonna go?
have legs that they'll appreciate, but it'd be the one you don't buy.
Right.
Like
But
the Ultimate Fallout 4 1 out of 25
right,
insane prices.
right. And so, but it's like buy it because you like it, buy it because you love it, buy it because it speaks to you, and then you don't care how much you spend. Even with, you know, Absolute Batman and issue 1, you know, cover A is by far the one, and the Akira cover are the ones that are maybe the most valuable. But you know, I did buy the Jim Lee variant because I'm a big Jim Lee fan, and I don't care where it goes. Like I wanted it, you know what I mean? So it's like buy
But
what you love.
that's a good point about getting into comics. There's, you know, high level, and then you could really get into it. Like you can get into it, pick up issue 1, cover A, and just kind of go with that. But the more you dig deeper, you can find out all these you know, ratios or exclusives or all these different kind of things. Or you really like this artist, so you'll support every variant they do or what have you. There's levels to it when it comes to comics, right?
Yeah, nah, it's absolutely levels to it. But you know, I like continuity and then just what I love. But yeah, Absolute Batman. Really enjoying Skinbreaker. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's a great book. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. I'm into that.
I
You know
read
what I mean?
issue 1 and I just didn't keep up with it, but I remember really liking issue 1. See, a lot of those indies, it's less about the character because I'm really a superhero fan.
Me too.
But the indies will give you this crazy concept of a story where it could be anybody, but they're going through something, which is like what Kirkman did with Walking Dead, or even with something like Skinbreaker. Like the characters don't really matter. It's really more the situation.
Yeah. Nah, it's amazing. But Beneath the Trees, it was like the Berenstein Bears like meets
Yeah.
Dexter. I was just
That's
like,
right.
all right, like I'm into this, and I'd be shocked if that doesn't get picked up by somebody for like some gory adult animated series down the road.
Yeah, Tony Fleece with Trish Forstner did something like that with Feral and Stray Dogs. It looks
Yeah.
like a Disney animated cute puppies and kittens, but there's like this serial killer murderer story behind the scenes, which makes it super dark, but it's also sweet at the same time, the way that they portray the animals and how dogs have short attention spans, and they when you leave, they think you're never coming back. Like it's a crazy medium, man.
But yeah, no, it's a lot of dope, and you really see the way just the IP is kind of running entertainment now. And I know we talk about superhero fatigue in movies, which, you know, I think the superhero movies do got to get better, but there's so much other IP that comes from comic books that I think people, you know, most of the people watching Walking Dead didn't know it was a comic book first.
Yeah,
You know
me
what I'm
neither.
saying? So
That
yeah.
was a time when that came out. I don't think I was reading comics at the time, or I maybe had just started going back in, but I would catch the show religiously, and I wouldn't read the comics until I got into the hardcovers and I got all the deluxe slipcase editions, and then I read it and I was like, this is amazing, man. Like getting into collected editions for me is how I went back and started reading all those stories that I missed while I was messing around and not doing comic stuff.
Yeah.
We got to get
Nah.
you into the collected editions, Rob.
I know. You know, I look at you and I watch your stuff all the time, like when you'll break open the omnibus and stuff like that, and I just don't know if I have any more space.
Yeah. The number one issue for collectors, besides maybe finances, is the space, man. We run out of space.
Real quick, I want to thank That Spider-Man Booth for sponsoring this video. If you haven't heard about That Spider-Man Booth, you got to check them out over on Whatnot. They have the latest exclusives, banging covers, autographed books, slabs, you name it. Plus, they stream all day, every day on that app. So if you download Whatnot right now and go look in the comic book section, you'll probably see That Spider-Man Booth streaming live. Make sure to check it out. Big shout out to them. And let's continue with the convo.
is the space, man. But man, I love watching what you do. You know, if I could say, man, so I first saw you stumbled upon Comic Time and
Yeah.
and the top 10 breakdown, and then I seen you had your own channel and was watching your stuff. And man, I love how honest you are with your audience. The one in particular, when you talked about downsizing, when you talked about some of the struggles that you were going through, because at this time, I'm trying to get into it and my own creative content. I don't know why this is doing this. This is hilarious. Did you just see these fireworks?
It's a special moment. You got the fireworks going, Katy Perry style.
Yeah, it's fireworks for you. But and I'm like, all right, man, I want to do this, and it was really right when I said, okay, I'm going to launch this comic book channel. I was watching you kind of just be honest about what you went through, and I thought that was so amazing and human of you, because you know most. And look, man, I'm in the music world. Hip hop is really my thing, and a lot of that, unfortunately, is like fake it till you make it type stuff. And I commend you for that. So, I mean, just what was like, did you second guess being as honest as you were with the audience about like having to downsize, having to reset expectations, or was it something that just came natural to you?
So I've always been like a chronic oversharer, you know, even when I was on my like rise, like, so when they met me, I was already doing pretty well. I was an adult. I was, you know, had a decent career. And then I had like this rise, and I always wanted to share with people, like, how did that happen? You know, what did I do? And I always I was always like an open book like that. Because I always felt like I've never seen that myself. I've never seen another YouTuber talk about how do they gain X amount of subscribers or whatever. So it was really natural for me to share what I was going through, and it was actually a relief, because there was a little bit of embarrassment to where I didn't want to talk about it, but it got to this point where it's like I can't even make videos anymore unless I tell everybody what's going on, and maybe it'll make sense to them as to why I'm doing this or doing that. So I like it, man. Again, I have a problem with oversharing, but I think that's also like people like to see that, man. People like to see, hey, man, this guy goes through similar things like I go through. It's not all just big statues and whatever. You know. So nah, I had no problem doing it. I'm glad that I did it. And the downsizing, yeah, man, that was definitely something that I had to do, and you know, it was a big learning experience for me. I would never do it again. And you know, it's funny speaking about music, because you know I'm still a hip hop head, man. I consume more hip hop content than I do comic book content. I think it's because I'm in it, so I'm looking at the outside as more of a fan, looking at the music stuff, and I see more and more artists or celebrities saying, "Man, the worst thing I ever did was buy a big ass house." Yeah. Because you know, you think that's what you do when you know get a little bit of success. But the realization is you don't use the space. The overhead is crazy, and it makes what you're doing harder to keep up with, because you got to pay these bills. You got this big mortgage or big upkeep or what have you. So I wish I would have seen that prior to making that move, but it feels like after I went through it, I started seeing a lot of other people who you would think got bread, and you're like, okay, well, shoot. Cardi B said that was the biggest mistake she ever made, was buy a big house, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, bro, that made me a fan of you, because you know what I was going through at the time, and on the music side, like I'm pretty well known and established, 20 plus years in music journalism. I worked at Double XL. You know, I was part of the crew that really made Double XL freshman covers a thing. Like when Kendrick was on the freshman cover, like I was there. I did that issue. When Nipsey, rest in peace, and J. Cole, I did that issue. Like, so I worked for MTV for many years, worked with Sway and MTV. Yeah. And I'm at Genius now, and I've had shows before. I've been on Camera Talent. I've had produced shows, like big production stuff that aired on TV, all types of stuff. And I came to a point where, you know, I couldn't find anybody who wanted to produce my content anymore, who wanted that investment. I had a contract with Amazon, and you know, it ran out, and they didn't want to renew. And I said to myself, well, damn, it was a little embarrassing at first. And I said, well, I still have something to say in terms of music and hip hop, right?
Yeah.
And man, I can't let these big companies decide when I don't have something to say. I got to figure this out on my own. I got to get on some DIY.
Yeah.
And it was a little embarrassing like, but I had to get out my own head. But it was a little embarrassing because it was like, man, I'm used to these big productions, and now here I am. I'm shooting myself. I'm doing the sync clap. I got Premiere Pro. I said, man, I got to figure this out. Maybe my color's not right, but I'm figuring it out in real time.
Yeah.
And I was just honest with the audience, almost like you, like with the first episode. I told the audience, like, look, I'm doing this. Here's why I'm doing this. Here's where I'm at with it. And because it felt like the natural thing to do. I didn't want to lie or feel like I was pretending to be something that I'm not. And but it was a little scary, right? There's that little voice in the back of your head. It's like,
yeah,
man, don't do that. And then, but when I seen you doing it at the same time, I'm like, this guy, like, it just made me a fan of you, like right off the bat.
Wow, I didn't know that, man. And I would think maybe even a little bit harder in the hip hop world because so much of it is kind of like, you know, we all made it, we're all rich, we're all this, we're all that. We all got it made, but then here you are having to kind of take a step back and, you know, do the editing yourself and get the equipment yourself. And that's actually what really put me on to you. When I saw you, you know, kind of come into the mix around that time. And when I heard what you did as a journalist, let me tell you something. I read more Source and Double XL magazines than I've read comic books. I had every single one, especially as a young teenager. I couldn't afford all these comics that were coming out, but I could pick up that Source magazine every month, and I would read every interview multiple times. And not to kind of like sound gross with it, but, you know, before we had phones, the magazines were in the bathroom. You're in the bathroom, you're reading a magazine. So I would read those interviews, man, multiple times. And I don't know, like, I think most people like myself or you growing up in that era, like hip hop raised me, man. So what I was listening to, what I was watching on videos, what I was reading in the magazines, like that really molded me as a person, man. So let's get into the music stuff, man, because we're both fans of it. You have a long career in hip hop journalism. When did you get into music? Was it before you got into comics, or was it after, around the same time?
It's around the same time. Like as a fan, like I mean, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, like, and I'm an '80s baby, so
you couldn't get away from it if you wanted to. I'm sure
it was everywhere. When I had older brothers and sisters, so it would be the music that they're playing. But then, like, I lived in Brooklyn, but my grandmother and my cousins lived in the Bronx, so it was like getting on the train. Like I'm from the era where there was still graffiti on the train, and you might catch a train with like a cool Smurf or a cool Transformer. Like you just want, like as a kid, it's just like wonderment. Like, yo, this is crazy. And boom boxes in the street and break dances and so it was all around. And then, you know, it's probably kindergarten, it's probably going to school, kindergarten, first grade, and you be in the schoolyard at lunch, and you know, all of my friends were trying to learn the words to Slick Rick, Lottie Dottie, Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh, and one of my friends is beatboxing and I'm rapping, and we had a contest of who could finish the rap because Lottie Dottie was a long rap from beginning to end.
Can tell the whole story.
So and you know, then get a little older and it's like okay, now I get to develop my own taste. I get to spend my own money on what I like, and so that's Nas, Illmatic, that's Big, Ready to Die, that's Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, that's Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style, and just went from there. But at the same time, I'm buying comic books at the same time, so it was happening at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. So was there like a song? Was there, because for me there is, and I'll tell you about it, but was there a song that just did it for you, or like, yo, it changed, a song that changed your life and made you a hip-hop fan?
I mean, Lottie Dottie was probably it as a kid. Maybe without me knowing, to me it was just music. It wasn't even hip-hop. It was like, oh, this is what mute, like. And then because I make music as well, and I have a couple albums out, and that record for me was probably Pete Rock and CL Smooth, They Reminisce Over You.
Beautiful song, timeless.
That made me think about like songwriting. That made me wanted to like start rapping and start writing.
You know what I love about this song too? No chorus, right?
Yeah, it's just the horns, just the classic, you know, horn section. But
so lately, my wife, she actually put me onto Suicide Boys. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yeah. We've had them at Genius a couple of times. Yeah, they're dope.
So okay, go. So because you say Suicide Boys, and if you don't know Suicide Boys, you might think like, what is that? That's whack, bro. I grew up as a Bone Thugs fan, so in a 3 6 Mafia fan. So to see them kind of be inspired by that style, and I think they're like the #1 hip hop or rap streamers, I think, as far as numbers go.
There might be. Their numbers are insane.
Their numbers are crazy.
Like cult following.
But they have a lot of songs where there's no chorus. The song title is something that has nothing to do with the song, but something about that is just so raw. And I became a big fan of them over the last year. But what I wanted to tell you, what did it for me as far as music, just like you said, when I grew up as a kid in the late 80s, early 90s, really more 1990 vibe. Hip hop to me was just music, but it was party music. It was like fun music. Like you think about House of Pain, Jump Around, MC Hammer, or Vanilla Ice. It was just like, oh, this is music, and this is fun music. It would be in movies, but Coolio's Gangster's Paradise, bro. When I saw that video, it changed my life. It hit me like, whoa, this is real life. This is showing me like this crazy lifestyle that I didn't grow up like that. Like I grew up in South Florida, where South Florida is raw, don't get it twisted, but like something about like that Cali gangster rap that really did it for me. And then I went down the rabbit hole, Snoop, Dre. I like the East Coast too because it was big at the time. So I loved Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, of course, Wu-Tang. But then what really did it for me after Gangster's Paradise was Bone Thugs and Harmony, man. When I heard First of the Month, it was like a sound that my mind has never heard. It was like seeing a color you've never seen before, man. Like to this day, the beat for First of the Month, I still can't describe it. It's just like, it's not even hip hop. It's just like this own genre of music. And then with them rapping double time and with the melodies and together and harmonizing, it was just like my mind was blown as a young kid. In 95, I was 11 years old. So that song just, Gangster's Paradise kind of got my ears open, and then Bone Thugs and Harmony made me like a diehard fan. I don't think I was the same after that.
And I remember Gangster's Paradise. That and I feel a lot of people say that if you were around in that generation was an entry point because it was also attached to the movie, to the Dangerous Minds movie with Michelle Pfeiffer. So it had like a lot of promotion. And then when Bone Thugs came, it was just like, it was like a reinvention. It was like nothing that we've ever heard. And I remember the first time I heard Bone Thugs was Creeping on the Come Up was
Thuggish
For
Ruggish,
the Love of Money.
Love of Money.
Yeah, man. And because Easy had just passed, I believe. No, Easy was in the video, but it was around the time when Easy was sick and it was, and even that I mean they were crazy, but that Easy E verse was just like, it was a little later in his career, and Easy just, standing on the corner straight slanging rocks. Oh, shit, here come the motherfucker. And it was like, bro, he still got it. Like Easy still got it.
Let me stop you right there. That's so funny because my friend that I grew up with, that I used to do music with as well, he recently sampled that and he produced that for Bone Thugs, their most recent street single with all 5 members.
Wow.
Because Conor McGregor signed them to his label for like an album deal for Greenback Records. So my boy Gold Rush, shout out Gold Rush, produced all shit for them based off of that. That's so funny that you mentioned that.
That's dope. Yeah, that was so iconic. It was like, man, I love that record. And Thuggish Ruggish Bone and it was really that first EP that got me. But coming up in New York, man, and New York was so high that most of my stuff was like that I love was New York, but I love stuff from other places too. Like man, I was a big Scarface fan coming up, still am. NWA, Cube, Cypress Hill. It's funny you mentioned House of Pain. I gotta send you a picture. I'm 12 years old hanging out with B Real and Danny Boy from, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean Everlast, my bad.
But it's funny because that was a running joke that everybody thought I was Everlast when I first started the channel. But I looked like Everlast more, his younger version, because at the time he was already like gray beard up.
He's grayed out.
Now I'm gray bearded up, so I'm like, damn, I'm really still evolving like Everlast, man.
Yeah. No, but so I have a cousin actually in LA who is in Cypress Hill. He's part of Cypress Hill. And so. And I didn't like grow up with him because he grew up in LA and I grew up in New York, man. But when Cypress Hill took off and they came on tour, he was like, yo, cuz I'm gonna be in New York, come, and had us back on the tour bus. And so I got a taste of like behind the scenes too. At like 12 years old, I'm like, nah, this is what I want to do with my life.
So was that it? Was that like the moment where you're like, yo, I love this so much, but I want to be involved with this somehow?
Yeah, it all happened around the same time. It was about 92. I'm about 12, 13 years old. And a whole bunch of things just kind of coalesced. And I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to be in music. And, you know, started with rapping, and I DJ for a little bit, started producing. I was doing battles in New York and doing all of this stuff. And then the journalism kind of took off like right after college. And, you know, as much as I love making music and I still make music, I was making more money writing album reviews than I was making music. So you know, man, at the end of the day, man, I gotta get this bread.
So that's like my story too. Like I wanted to be in music. I was always the type of dude, like if I liked something enough, in my mind I could do it. And kind of you can if you put your mind to it. So I thought I was going to be a rapper. We had a label. I thought maybe I could even fall back and like not be a rapper but still be in music. And it was hard because we were reaching success. We were making the right connections. We started getting placements and such, but I had kids young and that was not paying the bills. And I'm like, what? I got to be a good father. I got daughters, man. I can't, like, maybe a son, I could have let him thug it out a little bit, but I was like, nah, man. So I had to get the regular job, and throughout working and finding comics again. So you went to journalism. I was like, oh man, let me make content on my hobby. And then that kind of took off from there. So it's kind of a similar kind of come up, you know?
Yeah, nah, that's dope. And I mean, but it was the same for me. I got to a point where it was like, man, I got to pay these bills, and music wasn't paying the bills.
Yeah.
And I was in a bad situation where I was working, and they kind of gave me an ultimatum, like, man, either stop doing music or we're gonna let you go. Like it was one of those things. And I was like, man,
oh wow. Why? Because like the conflict of interest, or
they said it was a conflict of interest, which I get. I understand how it can be, but I was always very upfront about what I was doing. I wasn't hiding it. It wasn't a secret. And I'm like, I wish they'd have talked to me, but it was just his ultimatum. And I was like, all right, well, I got to feed my kids. And then a couple of years, my journalism career really took off and was like rock solid. And then I was like, okay, now I'm in a position where nobody's going to fire me. Nobody's going to give me an ultimatum, because what I bring to the table is way more. Like, you'll lose way more getting rid of me. And then start doing music again. And, you know, I'm on my 5th album right now. And, you know, the cool thing about it is now my kids, and I share the story with my kids, but it goes back to that same thing, that you can do anything. You know what I'm saying?
The mind is a powerful thing, man.
Yeah. One time, Logic had a show at Barclays. He was like, man, come out, like, do a joint with me. And my kids got to see they old man perform at Barclays Center.
That's what's up.
And after that night, I had to talk with him, and I'm like, man, you could do whatever you want to, whatever you dream of doing, you could do it. Like, if there's another person living and breathing doing it, it's possible. There's a road to get there. You just got to figure it out. And how bad do you want it?
So that's the thing. When I found out that you were in journalism and that you would do these album reviews and you would do the write-ups, I was like, I know I've read your stuff before. I don't know for sure, but I 100% read what you were doing back then, decades before I would even meet you. Which outlet was it that gave you your start in journalism?
The very first place that I wrote for was Complex Magazine. Before Complex was a website, they were a magazine.
I never read the magazine, though. I've heard of them as a website.
Yeah, I think it was like the 4th issue. I did a review on Jadakiss's 2nd album. So that was that. And then,
was that the one that had Knock Yourself Out?
No, that was his first album. That was Kiss the Game Goodbye. This was Long Kiss Goodnight. So this was the one with Y. And
that was a big one. Why the Terminator win the election?
Yeah. and that was cool too, because
Anthony Hamilton, I think.
Yeah.
Bro, Anthony Hamilton, I'm a big R&B fan too. Yo, his coming from where I'm from. Ooh.
Amazing. That whole Charlene. Since I Seen You was probably my favorite Anthony Hamilton joint. Like, I love
I don't want to derail you.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. No, we there, man. But so I did that. And then after that, I reviewed Ghostface's Pretty Tony album for Vibe magazine. And then after that, the Source magazine called me. So I started freelancing that. I did a lot of work for the Source, a lot of album reviews. And
were you part of any of the 5 mic ratings discussions?
No, nothing that I did was worth was 5 mics.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to XXL, did we do any XXLs? We might have gave Kanye My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy at XXL.
Was that when Elliot Wilson was the guy in charge?
So funny story with that, and shout out to Elliot. Me and Elliot have a real back and forth relationship.
His what do you call it? He would write up in the beginning of the issues.
His editor's letter.
I liked his editor's letter. I felt like I really got to know bro through those.
Man, he used to talk so much shit in those letters,
He would do
man.
the Benzino poses and
Yeah,
stuff.
and that's who he is. Elliot is a really competitive guy, and he and I have had our back and forth, but we're good now. There's a mutual respect there. But you know, I'm the type of guy that if you're my guy, or like if you're a friend, like I don't want to compete with you. It's like, yo, let's collaborate, let's work. Not because I'm afraid of competition.
Yeah,
but I love the feeling of winning with my friends. Like, yo, let's get it together.
So me and my friends would never fist fight. A lot of people grew up where they would fight with their friends. We would never fist fight. We would always take it to the opposition. So I'm with you on that. I don't want to compete with someone, because if I'm competing with you, bro, it's kind of to the death. Like, this ain't a friendly battle.
Yeah, that's how I feel. But that's how Elliot is. Elliot is really competitive, and you know, we're just different in that way. But we're good. We're in a good place. But the funny thing about him is that he was running XXL at the time, and he told me that he was going to hire me. I got let go of another job, and he said, yo, I really like you, and as soon as a position opens up in XXL, man, I want to bring you on. So I'm like, bet. And then he was like, just don't take another job. Just wait for me. And I was like, I can't wait for you. I got, you know, he was like, all right. So he used to take care of me. He used to give me like freelance work. He used to make sure that I was getting consistent freelance work. Then 3 months later, he calls me and he was like, all right, I have a position for you. Come meet me for lunch on Monday. We'll shake on it, and you're going to join the squad. So I'm like, oh shit. Okay. I'm joining the squad. That's crazy.
I love XXL. They became my favorite over the Source, even though the Source was the Bible. And
it
was the first one. XXL just felt more raw. And I think Elliot had a lot to do with that, for me, at least.
A ton to do with that. Elliot was the huge catalyst for really turning that magazine around, and I also think the Source was making bad decisions. So I think it was like Elliot's ambition.
They got too corporate, and then like there was some bias that you could kind of see, you could kind of tell, you know.
Yeah, but so what happens is, look, so Elliot says, "Yo, come, let's have lunch, and I'm going to hire you." So I'm getting ready. The Monday comes, I'm getting ready to go, or whatever day it was. I'm getting ready to go to meet Elliot. And I got an all hip hop alert. Elliot Wilson fired from XXL.
Oh.
So the day he was going to hire me, he got fired. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And you know, I don't know who it was. I always credit him. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. And there were other people. Vanessa Satin, who's the editor-in-chief there now. It was obviously her decision. She brought me on. But I'd like to think, or I credit Elliot in some way. I'm like, well, he had my name in the air, and even though he didn't technically do the hire, it was part of his plan. And Vanessa hired me and went through with it. And she probably had her own vision because she had to check me out too. But she liked me at the time, thought I was a good fit, and hired me. But I always credit Elliot for, like, you know, sometimes somebody keeps your name in the air.
For sure.
And so it was that.
Yo, that's the thing about Rob, man. Everybody knows Rob Markman. I peep that. I'm like, yo, this guy knows it. So because you're like, I guess more within the industry, like, I don't know, but I peeped it, you know, from behind the scenes. I'm like, yo, everybody knows this dude. Like, that shit was cool. Because to me, like, I'm a fan from the outside looking in, so it's just cool for me. I don't know where I'm going with that, but it just kind of felt like, yo, because I saw you were hosting the panel at New York Comic Con with Mass Appeal and Nas.
Yeah,
like, that was crazy. What did they do? They did some kind of comic. I never even got the comic book. Did that come out?
Yeah, they did a real limited run. They did a one shot with Mass Appeal and Nas. Sanford Green did the cover and he did the character designs, but they turned all the Mass Appeal artists who put out records on Mass Appeal this year into superheroes. So it was Nas and Premier, Big L, rest in peace. It was Mobb Deep. It was De La Soul.
So Mass Appeal, I'm not really familiar. So Mass Appeal was kind of like a Violator, like a music management group.
Yeah, Mass Appeal at first is funny. Mass Appeal was first a magazine like XXL.
Yeah, I thought it was something like a website or something.
Yeah,
like that.
At first it was an editorial magazine, and it had morphed, and now Mass Appeal is a record label, is a music label owned by Nas and Peter Bender.
And now they announced him and Premier got the joint album coming out.
Yeah, the 12th, December 12th. So I don't know when this airs, but yeah,
it's a good time for old heads in hip hop, man. All the goats are putting out projects.
Yeah, I think this year,
Clips.
Yeah, I think between what the Clips did and man, I got to sit with them and interview them this year, and and what Nas is doing with Mass Appeal, and you know, we always told that hip hop is a young person's game, and I think the youth, still need to be empowered to run and set the trends. Like we don't need to hold none of these young artists back.
They're coming up with the new slang.
Yeah,
yeah.
But at the same time, you know, rock and roll, like you know, the Stones still get to be the Stones. Like,
for sure.
You know, Metallica still gets to be revered, and I guess it kind of happens. I'm not so entrenched in rock and roll, but it's not like you're just not like straight up like dissing Metallica because they're old. Like there's a reverence.
It's different, because it was never really like a cool, like hip hop was always about setting the tone of what's cool, at least in my opinion. And yeah, it's not cool to be old, I guess. But but you know what I want to say? My hot take on that is that I do feel like it always has been looked at as a young man's game, and that I feel like we gave hip hop to the younger generation, but in doing so, we found out that we need our OGs. We need the 30 and up crew to still be vocal and making music. And I don't really think now it's looked at as a young man's game, because all these veterans are putting out projects that are being respected, they're being bumped. And you don't really hear the younger crew being like, nobody cares about Nas. Like, I feel like the youngsters get it with the older artists now as well. I don't know if you feel the same way, or if you're
I think there's a bridge that is happening. Look, I think, and I'm not a super conspiracy theorist, but I think a lot of it is because we were divorced from our history. I think a lot of it has to do with the business. We don't have ownership in hip hop, and so who's guiding these young artists? You know what I'm saying? And again, letting them be themselves, but being like, hey, here's how you construct your deals. Here's what you watch out for. Here, hey, if you make this move, I did that back in the day too. And it was short-term success, and there was a long-term detriment. And you know, like you need like coaches, right? Like every young player needs a coach and an OG. And I feel like the way the business is constructed, it kind of divides the OGs from the young artists coming up who need to hear the game, and it puts them at odds when it's like, nah, yo, you should listen to a Nas, because everything you're about to go through, he's been through. You know, the same thing that you were talking about, like spending the money or something like that. Hey, here's how you save. I had one artist, I'm not going to say his name. He was a young artist. He got signed to LA Reid for $1 million. He was the hottest thing for 5 minutes for a whole, and you know, came and went. And he called me and he was like, man, I'm trying to get hot again. Do you have any advice for me? And he, you know, he was just telling me how he blew through $1 million. He got the $1 million deal. And he said, I never thought the money would stop coming. He was like, that was my last check, but I spent it.
I said the same thing myself.
Yeah. And it was like, damn, man, like it was kind of too late for him. Like he was already on the back end of it. And it was like, shit, if only there was somebody who could have warned you when you get that $1 million check. Hey, listen, 40% of that is going to taxes. And then your manager, hey, if you got $1 million check, don't buy the $1 million house, because the mortgage is going to kick your ass. And then landscape,
you're better off paying off the $200,000 house and just have no bills.
Right.
But that's the thing. What I learned of having a large lump sum of money, no lump sum of money is good enough for you, man. You need to have income. Income is better than getting a big check like all day, every day. You got to have something steady, which is, you know, having a job. Ain't nothing wrong with having a job. And yeah, you're right, man. You really need. I didn't have anybody to tell me, bro, don't buy that big ass house, man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, but I agree with you on that. So you mentioned like artists. You started doing, you know, from album write-ups, writing for the magazines. You started doing interviews. Who was the first interview you got? Did you mention that?
No, so Jadakiss was the first album that I reviewed.
Yeah,
the first interviews, they happened around the same time in the same week. One was over the phone. It was a producer by the name of Easy Mo B.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Easy Mo B produced like
New York stuff, old school, right?
Yeah, like a lot of people attribute Biggie's first album, Ready to Die, with Puff. You know, Puff produced that. Easy Mo B did half the joints. So Puff did all the pretty joints, like the Big Pop, all the radio joints, and all the hard stuff. Easy Mo B did all the hard stuff.
Yeah, but Puff wasn't pressing buttons. It was more like orchestrating, right? Which is, you know, I respect it too, because sometimes you need a good orchestrator.
Yeah, Quincy Jones, like Quincy Jones, and Quincy Jones could play instruments. I'm not downplaying Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
but it's also getting the right musicians and people in the room to make the right song. So a maestro. So
that's
speak,
what
right?
that's kind of what I was good at with when I was doing music. Like I could rap and I know how to put bars together, hooks and all that measures. But I was always good at, I know this producer. Oh, I know this guy that raps. Okay, I can actually build the website and kind of put it all together.
You need that, and artists need that. But yeah, so the first interview was Easy Mo B, who was producing for Big and Pac.
It's crazy because you heard his work. You're obviously a huge fan of Ready to Die, and now you're talking to this guy on the phone.
Huge, yeah. And then that same week in person, I interviewed The Alchemist.
Oh wow, another producer.
So yeah, because I was writing for a production magazine.
He just didn't he help? They're doing a new Mobb Deep, or did it come out yet?
It's out. Yeah, it's out. It's out.
He produced on that too. If
he helped, him and Havoc did it together.
Havoc, underrated producer, man. He doesn't really get the flowers.
Yeah, man. But Alchemist has been working this year too. Alchemist has been crazy. He did that album with Larry June and 2 Chainz. He did one. I think he did a Boldy James album this year. He did one with Hit Boy. Like Alchemist is on like a prolific run right now. But those are my first 2 interviews. So
and then you did you mentioned to me I think you interviewed Drake. Who are some of the big names that you interviewed? Like, not to say that they're not big, because as a fan, those are names that I know for sure. But
yeah. Definitely, I've interviewed Drake before. I've interviewed Nicki Minaj. I've interviewed Jay-Z.
Jay-Z was the one. That's crazy to me, man. Still, to me, I don't like interviewing people. I get starstruck.
Yeah.
Like, even getting ready with the interview with you, I'm like, man, this guy has interviewed all these people, and like the 6 degrees of separation, I get in my head about it. Do you get nervous getting into meetings with these people like that?
Not really. I just make sure I prepare for it. I think the nervousness comes if I'm unprepared. Like, I don't want to get in front of a Jay-Z and have Jay-Z be like, "Yo, who is this guy?"
If you know your stuff, it's almost you're excited to get into it. Like,
it was funny. The first Jay-Z interview I ever did was on the red carpet for a charity event. I was working at MTV, and Jay is my favorite rapper. And Lil Wayne had just dissed him. Him and Lil Wayne were going back and forth on the subliminal. Lil Wayne had dropped the Carter 4, and he had that line, because Jay-Z.
What about Baby Money? Was that
Baby Money? Yeah, Baby Money. I got your baby money, kidnap your lady money. So it was that. And so that had maybe came out like a week. And then I had caught Jay-Z on the red carpet, and we were the last ones on the red carpet. It was for a charity event for his Sean Carter Foundation, which sends kids to college. And customary on the red carpet is you may get 2 or 3 questions, and the first question you ask has to be about the event, and probably maybe the first 2 questions about the event, and then the third question is like a freebie, right? Let me just try to get some news. So I asked Jay about the charity, and then I asked him about the Lil Wayne thing, and he gave me so much. He was like, bro. He was like, we had a charity event. He was like,
place, man.
He was like, this is for the kids. Like, bro, are you serious? So I feel like dirt. I'm like, damn, I screwed this up.
Oh, he said that to you.
He said that to me. He was like, yo, are you serious? And then he answered the question. He was like, look, hip hop is competitive. I don't take it no sort of way. Everybody wants to be the best. What I told him was, I was like, listen, man, I feel you, but if I go back to the barbershop and they know I interviewed Jay-Z and I ain't asked you about this,
I got to walk these streets after
I'm done. So he started laughing. So then he gave me kind of a non-answer, but he was like, look, man, hip hop is competitive, man. It's like, everybody is going for it. So he's going for it, man.
I for sure seen that clip now that you say his answer. I remember that.
He was like, it's really not
was that before or after he paid his taxes?
That was after. Yeah, this is after the tax thing.
And baby's got bread. Anyway, I don't want to get involved. But
anyway. And so then so what happens is he leaves. So my cameraman, we start packing up. The cameraman turns the camera off, and Jay walks away, and he looks over his shoulder and he sees the camera is off. And so he doubles back and he like tapped me. He was like, nah, that was a good question. He was like, I just had to fuck with you. But he was like, yo, that was a good question. And I'm
gotta have the balls, man. Sometimes you can't always play it safe,
Yeah, and I'm not saying here like we're not best friends or nothing like that. But I've interviewed him a bunch of times after that through the years, and he's always shown me. He's always been very gracious and shown a mutual respect, and his team is like, been really dope with me. So I know there's a mutual respect there. Yeah, but Jay-Z, Mariah Carey. So yeah, it's not about getting nervous though. It's like just being prepared. Probably the one person who I got nervous to meet. I never interviewed him, but when I met Eminem, it was like a little
Dang.
awkward.
Yeah.
Because not because of M was great. It was really like Sway. Shout out to Sway. Sway introduced me to M, but he goes to M and he goes, yo, Marshall, yo, it's Rob Markman. This is one of the greatest journalists, like top of the top. Like Sway is just talking me up, building me up.
Yeah.
And then when Eminem looks at me, he's like, well, goddamn.
Yeah.
And like I didn't know what to say after that. It was just like, what do you say after that? It was such this grand introduction. And I'm like, I'm never gonna meet this standard that Sway just set.
Yeah.
and so that was cool. But you know, man, everybody has been super cool for the most part and respect.
Bro, I remember Sway has been around forever. But how did you feel when the Kanye How Sway interview went down?
How Sway?
I called. We got on the phone right after because we worked at MTV together, and Sirius was a couple of blocks away, so he was there. I was upset. I was upset for him.
At Kanye?
Yeah, I was upset at Kanye because I thought that was disrespectful. I think Sway does such an amazing job at propping people up and showing the positive side of hip hop. Sway,
yeah.
Look, we've seen it and there's no disrespect, but we've seen like Wendy Williams. We've seen people who really get down and dirty in the muck of stuff, and that's never been Sway's style. So I felt like Sway deserved more respect.
Like if he hit Flex with that or something like that, or like Slay, like that's a little bit different, but
yeah. And then it turned out Sway was right because what it was Kanye wanted to be down with Adidas, wanted to be down with Nike, like he wanted somebody to give him a shot. And Sway is like, yo, you're Kanye West, yo, just do it yourself, do it independently.
Right. And
he got upset at the notion, and look at where Kanye is now. He actually came back years later and said Sway was right.
Well, not only was he right, though, I mean, that kind of that looking back at that was like an early Kanye crash out. And it's kind of like when you look back, you're like, oh, man, Kanye is really like something's going on with Kanye, you know, and he took it out on Sway, which was terrible. But it was kind of like the first kind of glimpses, I would think, that, man, something ain't right with Ye, man.
Yeah, something ain't right. I mean, it's all water under the bridge now, but I remember speaking to Sway directly after that. He and I got on the phone. And you know, Sway was like asking me, not like it, but yeah, he was just like, yo, do you think I handled that, or how do you think I should have handled that?
Oh, how could he have done it better than that?
I mean, there's a couple ways to go about it though. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You think he should have pressed him back?
I'll say this about Sway. I mean, Sway's a nice guy, super professional, but I mean, he's from Oakland. Like he's from the Bay, so there's definitely that. I get that feeling of like, hey, we could handle this another way. I mean, because he told him, he said, hey man, we could turn these mics off.
Oh yeah,
like,
he did.
If you be back, so he said, hey man, we could turn these mics off. So there's a bit of that because as a man, you know, you're proud, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, hold on, man, like you're not gonna come to my house and punk me, but.
Even if there was no cameras, it's like, bro, you're
right,
like,
exactly.
Are we doing this or what?
but he handled that the right way. He handled that the absolute right way.
Yeah, professional. He kept it professional.
Yeah, and stuff like that. But I remember at the time, I was upset. I was super disappointed in Ye at the time, and now it's like a thing that happened. I think everybody's over it.
Yeah. I know we don't have too much time, so I want to get into, you know, it kind of comes full circle. You're into comics. You get into music, you get into writing, and you're into music journalism. Then you start getting opportunities to write comic books.
Yeah.
So how does that? Was that through Mass Appeal as well, or?
So you know, my best friend that I grew up with, Damian Scott, was, you know, established himself in comics. Since we were kids, we knew he was going to be a comic book artist. Like he never put a pen down. Like he'll draw on anything. We'll be at Thanksgiving dinner together, and he'll be drawing Spider-Man on a paper plate, like on a napkin, wherever we're at. And then he went to Joe Kubert School and graduated from Joe Kubert School and started getting you know, placements in the industry. So it was a bit of nepotism. That was like my brother growing up, and he was killing it at DC in the early 2000s. And DC used to do this series called Solo. It was like artist run books where they would give an artist a whole book. It was called DC Solo, and it would be an artist. So he had DC Solo number 10, and they basically told him it's an anthology. They was like, yo, you could do a bunch of short stories in the book. You could build your own team. You could pick your inker, pick your colors, pick your writers. And he came to me and he said, yo, man, you want to write a story for me? And I wrote the story and he drew it. We wrote a 10-page Flash story, and that was the first crack that I got out of it. And they published it. I couldn't believe I was like published in DC.
And that's another credit to the belt, man. Published writer.
Yeah, so that was amazing. And then I really kind of kicked myself because I should have did networking in any industry is important. And obviously I got the chance because my man gave me the chance. But if I want to keep on doing it, I got to establish myself. Like you can't just keep getting handouts for the rest of your life. And I didn't really establish any connections with DC. But then it came back around for me just being a journalist and having people who are fans of my work, like at Marvel Comics and Chris Robinson. Shout out to Chris Robinson, who used to be an editor. He's a comic book editor. Used to work at Marvel Comics. He hit me up. They did an anthology of all the hip hop variant covers, and they did it hardcover. And he was reaching out to a bunch of hip hop people to get quotes for the sleeve. You know how
makes sense.
And so he got like
the hardcover, right?
Yeah, he got like Killer Mike. He got like a bunch of people. And then he hit me up just cold out of the blue, was like, yo, would you write a blurb about your thoughts on the hip hop variant cover? So I was like, cool. So I did that for him. Then Black Panther premiere. He was like, yo, I got these tickets for the Black Panther premiere in New York. Do you want to come? I'm like, yeah. So me and Chris started building a relationship. And then he was like, yo, I got this book called Marvel Voices that I'm editing. I can give you 2 pages to write any character you want. Would you do it? And I was like, yeah. So I came up with this Silver Surfer story, and he was like, well, who do you want to write? Who do you want to illustrate it? So I just tapped my man Damien again. He was like, yo, I think Damien's busy, man, because I reached out to him. He's working on something else. I said, no. If I ask him, he's gonna do it. So I went back. So the same guy that put me on, I went back and I was like, yo, let's do this.
That's how you do it. I like that.
And so it felt good to get that opportunity on my own. I mean, not on my own, because Chris Robinson again looked out, and then I did a Flatbush Zombies graphic novel. I wrote some digital Dracula comic with Saladin Ahmed. So I've gotten opportunities through the years, man. So now I'm slow cooking it, but I'm working on my own characters, my own script. So I'm writing. I want to get like 10 issues just written down, and then I'll go figure out, how to get it illustrated and shop it around.
How do you come up with the concept, man, to write a story for like a character like the Flash? Like, I feel like I will be overwhelmed with, I need to know every story that the Flash was in, so I don't retell the same one or mess up a continuity thing.
Well, that was step one. And then I had to just get that out of my head. That was exactly my first fear. And then I was just like, as a reader, I'm like, how many times did a writer come in and mess up the continuity of your favorite character? Or
you probably wouldn't be the first. That's true.
Yeah. So I let that fear go, and I knew I was writing in a one shot in the standalone. So I was like, I knew it wasn't in continuity, so I had a bit of freedom. That first Flash story was it wasn't great. I tried to do too much. I told like a real political story about a black political leader who was on death row, about to be electrocuted falsely, like in the chair, but falsely. And, they kept trying to break him to admit to his crimes. And he's like, nah, I'm not going to admit to nothing. I didn't do anything wrong. Only God can judge me type situation. And at the same time, there's a riot in the city, and people are like, where's the Flash? The Flash needs to help. People are going crazy in the city. And Flash was stuck in this dream fighting Dark Flash. So it was a nightmare. And it was this thing about if you live righteousness and just don't run away from death, you kind of run towards the hard thing. I tried to do too much. The story was super convoluted.
No, but now that you explain it, it kind of makes sense. So you don't really need to know everything about the Flash. If you know the character, you have this concept or an idea, and then you can kind of figure out, okay, how do I incorporate the Flash in this and tell a good story that has a meaning at the end?
Yeah. And then the harder thing for me was to write that surface story, because it was only 2 pages. I'm like, how do I write a complete story in 2 pages? And
I saw you talk about it. That was one of your first videos, I think, on your comic book channel, right?
Yeah, because I'm watching you, I'm watching Comic Tom, I'm watching Golden Age Guru, and I'm like, man, I need people to know I'm not a joke. like I actually have some skin in the game.
Yeah,
So
no, I think it makes sense. I mean, you have the a YouTube channel that you do music and you cover a lot of stuff, like anything that's newsworthy, whether it's an album that drops. I know you covered like the Diddy trial, and I even saw you gave your thoughts on the Netflix series, which I watched, and kind of a lot of stuff that we already kind of thought, growing up in the early '90s. Not to get too much into it, so you cover that stuff, but then you started the separate channel, and you have written comics. It makes sense to talk about that. You make videos talking about what you're reading currently. So definitely we'll put Rob's channels in the description. But before you go, I want to hit you, if we have time, I want to hit you with some quick time questions, man.
Let's go.
We're gonna do two. We're gonna do quick time, the comic book version first. All right.
Okay.
Rob Markman, quick time with Gem. I don't have a name for you. It's the first time I'm doing it. Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Superman or Batman?
Batman.
Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, or Ben Affleck?
Christian Bale. I'm offended that you even put Ben Affleck on the list. Christian Bale.
Bro, I might put Ben Affleck as my my number one. All right, Spider-Man or Wolverine?
I gotta go Spider-Man.
All right, okay. Wolverine or Hulk?
Wolverine.
Okay. Justice League or the Avengers?
Just who I like better. It's not who will win in the fight, right?
It's whatever.
Okay, it's whatever.
It's like Drink Champs. Weren't you on Drink Champs?
I was on Drink Champs. Yeah,
you know how it's the same rules. Whatever you think that means.
We need shots.
Yeah, for real.
Justice League or Avengers.
Yeah, Justice. Okay, well, you could be a Marvel guy, but sometimes it's like, oh, wait a minute, not in that situation. Okay.
Yeah.
You said Avengers or X-Men?
X-Men.
All right. How about X-Force or X-Factor? X-Factor is the OG X-Men, but
original X-Factor.
Original X-Factor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like growing up, realized that the X-Force team that we love was like a really short window for that.
Yeah.
So,
but I like the strong guy era and all that stuff.
Yeah. The Larry Strowman, the Joe Quesada era, that was a good era too.
All right, Batman or Wolverine?
Batman.
There you go. Deadpool or Deathstroke?
Deadpool.
Green Lantern or Nova?
Green Lantern.
Okay. Toby, Andrew, or Tom?
Oh, this is gonna be controversial.
You're gonna say Tom.
I like Andrew, man.
Oh, okay. I can get with that.
I like those Andrew Garfield movies.
All right, it's still kind of comic, but this is kind of like pop culture-ish. Power Rangers or TMNT?
TMNT all day.
Okay. What about Power Rangers or Voltron?
Voltron all day.
Okay. Spawn or TMNT? Two indie kind of creations. They're very different, but
I love them both, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man.
Dang, or Spawn. I get it. That was one of my first loves too, though. All right, and I know you're a fan of these as well. G.I. Joe or Transformers?
Oh, Transformers.
Transformers or GoBots?
Oh, Transformers, man. I got GoBots one year for Christmas, man, and oh man, I wanted to cry. I was like 6 years old.
And didn't they come out first? Isn't that the whole thing?
GoBots came out first, but it was
all right. So Transformers or Gundam?
Transformers.
I was never into Gundam.
Yeah.
Comic books or cartoons?
Comic books.
Manga or anime?
Anime.
I don't know if you're into either one of them.
Yeah, my kids got me into them. My kids are both into both of them, but anime.
Okay. Spider-Man 94, the cartoon, or X-Men, the cartoon? The original 90s joints.
The original X-Men.
All right. X-Men, the animated series, or Batman, the animated series?
Batman, the animated series.
All right, cool. That was Quick Time Comic Books. Let's do Quick Time. This is the music edition with Rob Markman.
You got to call it maybe Getting It In with Jim. Like
you got to pause on that, man.
Pause.
We're gonna be like the come up with a good fresh minute or something. All right, we'll figure it out. We'll put it. We'll fix it on the back end. All right, I already know the answer to this, but I gotta throw it out there. New York or California?
I'm from New York, man.
Yeah,
New York. Yeah.
Right,
if I gotta choose the coast, I gotta choose the east. I live out there, so don't go there.
All right.
It's the big line. Come on.
So I know you're gonna go with this. So New York versus the South.
Nah, New York. Come on, all day.
All right, I got you. All right, so let's keep it in the South though. ATL or Miami?
Atlanta. I gotta go.
Atlanta or
Shout out
Houston?
to Miami. I love the weather in Miami, man, but ATL, man.
ATL. Music wise, we're talking. It's kind of music wise.
Music wise too, like just ATL, man. Outkast, man. Wherever Outkast is from.
Yeah, Outkast. That's one of my wife's favorites. One of my favorites too. I mean, arguably one of the greatest hip hop groups of all time.
I think they're the greatest hip hop group ever.
You think that they're the greatest hip hop over Wu-Tang?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
right, so ATL's the winner. ATL or Houston?
Oh, Atlanta.
ATL wins it. But first of all, their run, has it even ended? I mean, their run is like unprecedented.
We're gonna see 21 Savage about to drop an album, so we're gonna see what 21 do, man. But yeah, Atlanta has just shaped so much over the past 20-25 years. It's been not that Houston hasn't, not that Memphis hasn't, not that Miami.
The generational run from Atlanta is crazy.
Yeah, and there's contributions from everywhere, right? You mentioned Miami, like we can't discount what Uncle Luke did. Like he's the reason we have parental advisory stickers. Like he has Supreme Court cases against 2 Live Crew. Like super important and for independent artists. So, but overall, I got to go with Atlanta.
I got you, ATL. All right, this one's gonna be a tough one. Jay-Z or Nas? Well, Jay-Z's your favorite artist, right?
I got to drink. Nas is probably number 2.
All right.
I'm gonna say Jay-Z. I'm gonna say Jay-Z, but I always say this as a fan is Jay-Z. When I'm rapping and making music, like when I'm making decisions in the studio and I get stuck, I always ask myself, what would Nas do?
Channeling Nas. What would Nas
creatively is Nas, but as a fan is Jay-Z.
All right, these are the cliche ones, but we got to ask them, man. Tupac or Biggie?
Big.
Big. Oh, Biggie over Tupac. All right, yeah, that makes sense. All right, Tupac or DMX?
Pac
over DMX. DMX or Ja Rule before sing-songy Ja Rule?
This is gonna be controversial. I'm gonna go with Rule.
Vidi Vici Rule?
Yeah, I was always a bigger Ja Rule fan than the DMX fan. I'm sorry.
I was a Ja Rule fan too. I didn't like all the hate he got, but that is what it is. All right, Kendrick or Drake? Obvious one. I mean, obvious question. I don't know the answer.
You trying to go viral? Drake is amazing, man. They're gonna kill me for this, but the moment we're in now, I'm just a bigger Kendrick fan. I'm a Drake fan.
Honest, I'm gonna get it for this. I'm a bigger Drake fan.
Yeah,
I rock with Drake.
All
right, anyway, J. Cole
Drake is
or
amazing.
J-Rock?
Like that 15-year, like the run that he's been on has been unprecedented. Like Drake is an amazing, talented artist. Like.
Kendrick too. I mean, and I that's why I got J-Rock in this next one. Money Tree is probably one of my favorite songs of all time. Crazy song, love that.
Yeah.
And I like J-Rock's verse better.
Yeah, J-Rock. I once told that to Kendrick when that dropped. I was like, "Yo, Rock got you."
He ate him on the pause, but he renegaded.
Rock up in them buildings, yeah, man, that was hard. That's a classy joint.
Got them drums and I got them bands, just like a parade, bitch.
Yeah.
All right, so J. Cole or J-Rock?
I like that shit. Go ahead.
J. Cole or J-Rock?
Oh man, J. Cole.
He got more of a catalog, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go back down south. No Limit or Cash Money?
Cash Money.
Okay. Rockefeller or Rough Riders?
Rockefeller all day.
Bad Boy or Death Row?
It's Bad Boy. I don't know how people gonna look at you now.
That's what I'm talking about, stuff like that, right? Like, yo, I grew up Bad Boy was my shit too, but you can't take away the music. The music was incredible. The artists were great. Busta or Mystical?
Busta Rhymes.
You're getting New York bias, man.
I am.
Dr. Dre or Timberland?
Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre or DJ Premier? Yeah.
Dre
over Premier. Dang, they're gonna take your East Coast pass, man.
Yeah, that's 1-2. That's 1-2 for me.
All right, Wu-Tang or Bone Thugs?
Wu-Tang.
And then I had the winner versus Outkast, but so Wu-Tang versus Outkast, you already answered that one.
Yeah, right. I gotta give it to Cass.
Let me see where your head's at. Bone Thugs or 3 6 Mafia?
Bone Thugs.
All right, that's my guy. Okay. Yeah, my wife just yelled in the back. She's a 3 6 fan. So during the verses, it was going down at the house.
3 6 is so influential.
Is what?
So influential. The amount of times they get sampled to this day is crazy.
I would have never thought that they would kind of influence the new generation more than Bone Thugs. Like with the Suicide Boys thing, like I guess it's because on the production tip, I would have never thought that they would have outlasted or become more popular than Bone Thugs and Harmony. Because at one time, Bone Thugs and Harmony was the biggest thing. I don't know if it was just in my mind, was the biggest thing ever, bro.
Yeah, when they dropped Crossroads and then the double album that came out after that, like, nah, man.
Art of War. Bro, when the Crossroads came out and I popped in my album and it didn't have that version on the album.
Oh, because it was the remix.
Because it was the remix. I would sit around listening to the radio, hoping they would just play it. And every now and then they would. And that was another song that kind of like first of the month. Like I was trying to wrap my mind around it. If you ever listen to that song, they don't even get into the chorus until like 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
And it's not like verses. It's like they're spitting these paragraphs. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, but the bridges, but there's certain things that work as hook. Just the boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, even that.
The intro was so catchy, and then if you watch the video, the gospel intro was like crazy. With the choir singing, like
that was their artist Trey as well. Yeah,
so many dope elements to that song.
All right, Luda or T.I.?
T.I.
He had a great run. M or Jay-Z?
Oh man, Jay-Z.
Jay-Z over Eminem.
Eminem.
Eminem didn't make the list. You saw that Little Wayne thing?
yeah. Shout out Gucci.
Eminem or Nas?
You said Eminem or Nas?
Yeah.
Nas.
Eminem or MGK? It's kind of a joke. Anyway.
MGK is my guy too. Like in real life, like I love MGK, but it's Eminem.
I thought his diss record. I thought he had a good record, man.
Kill Shot was a dope record because you didn't see it coming.
Yeah, like, and he came for the giant, right? Like he came for him,
and he didn't try to do the thing. Like Eminem technically was the rap devil. Like he was rapping crazy, but MGK kind of came more with jokes. More was like playing the dozens, like. And you didn't really see anybody like approach Eminem like that. So
you're right. You had it without getting demolished. So the fact that he did that song and it was good, but when M told him he brought a shovel just to dig his own grave because he had a shovel in the video, I was like, yo, M is crazy, man.
M is crazy. But yeah, overall, MGK versus Eminem is Eminem all day. Sorry,
I'm just messing around.
Sorry, Kel. MGK is my guy in real life, man. But it's Eminem.
All right, shout out to MGK.
I'll tell him that to his face.
Wayne or T.I.?
Wayne
over T.I. Jeezy or Gucci?
Jeezy.
All right, we go back to Jay. Jay's your favorite artist. 50 or Jay?
Jay.
50 or Diddy in a fight?
Diddy got hands, man. I don't know the last time that 50. Look, I'm gonna go with Diddy in a fight.
50, I got 50 on that. Even though,
I just don't know the last time that 50 scrapped against somebody. But look, Diddy beat up the UCLA coach.
He swung on Eric Sermon, apparently.
Yeah, he got into a fight with Drake. He got into a fight with J. Cole.
Yeah, I heard that.
Like 50 out here. I mean, Diddy out here scrapping, man.
Diddy might have more fights under his belt at this point, man.
Yeah, 50, yeah.
All right, Biggie or Big Pun?
Biggie.
Biggie or Big L?
Biggie.
Ice Cube or Biggie? This was a controversial one on Drink Champs.
Yeah. Biggie.
It was what Tony Yayo went at with EFN.
Yeah, Biggie, but I think Ice Cube, Big's not here to say, but if you listen to Ready to Die, I feel like Ice Cube influenced Big's style early on. But I'm picking Biggie.
First of all, Ice Cube got a song called Ghetto Vet. I encourage everybody to listen to that song. It's an incredible storytelling song. I heard it because Master P put it on one of his compilations, but I think from the War and Peace album as well. But Ghetto Vet, have you ever heard Ghetto Vet?
Nah, I kind of tuned out when he dropped War and Peace and like I'm America's Most Wanted, The Predator, Lethal Injection. When he started with like We Be Clubbing, I was just like, I don't get it.
Don Nigga?
Put your ass into it. I was like, I don't get it. So I tuned out to Ice Cube for a couple of years. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, we're gonna wrap him up here. The Source or XXL?
Oh, XXL. I gotta go with the home team.
MTV or BET?
BET. And I worked at MTV.
BET or the box? Did you have the box there?
I didn't have it. A neighbor of mine had it. Like Brooklyn didn't get it, but Queens had it. So what did you say? BT or the box?
Yep.
BT.
All right, only a couple more left. Mixtape or album?
Man. We're gonna go mixtape.
Mix it. They could just do whatever they want on it. No,
Yeah,
no
man.
politics.
Yeah, I'm from the DJ Clue era. Like, man.
Illuminati.
Yeah.
Yo, vinyl, tape, or CD?
CD.
CD.
CD. I mean, I love vinyl. There's nothing like vinyl, but it's just the convenience of a CD. Man, I could carry a bunch of them to school in my book bag. It's
The
CD,
Discman,
man.
Boost Discman.
Yeah.
All right, radio or podcast?
Radio.
Last one, YouTube or Instagram?
Hey, man, YouTube is the label that pays, man. My monetization is way better on YouTube.
But Instagram is just indirect though. But yeah, not direct like YouTube does, man. But yo, yeah. Rob, thank you so much, man, for coming through. I think we could have talked for a lot longer, but I know you got to
do it again, part 2, man. We figure something out.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you want to see a part 2. Make sure to check out Rob on the music channel, on the comic book channel. I'm gonna link them both below. You guys, thanks for watching. Stay minty fresh. You got anything for him, Rob?
Hey man, just y'all keep tuning in the gym, man. Like, I made it. I feel like I made it. It's different. I've done a lot of shit in my career, man. But to connect with you on this and for you to recognize me for the comic book stuff I'm doing, man, shit feels dope. So, hey, man, they just got to keep supporting you. That's all.
Hey, appreciate it, you guys. Catch you next time.
Peace.
Peace.